Okay, we are starting a raclette today. I've got 6 gallons of raw milk in my cheese pot. The first step is going to be to heat this to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So we are going to be adding bee linens to this raclette. I've never used bee linens before, but I have some from cheesemaking.com, so I'm excited to get this in and see what it turns out like. I've never actually eaten a raclette. It's a Swiss melting cheese. So let's give it a try. I'm going to be using the 200 Easy Homemade Cheese Recipes book that I have. I am so excited to tell you that I saw that there is a 3rd edition that I don't know if it just came out, but now is on Amazon, so you can order that. The edition that I have is out of stock. It was out of print for a very long time. Now there's a 3rd edition, so I'm going to link it in the description box. It really didn't cost that much. I think it was like $18. So if you are a cheese maker, I highly suggest this book. The only difference will be that for pasteurized milk, I thought he was going to throw something in it. Yeah. Nope, we don't put the Lincoln log in. She uses pasteurized milk, so a little bit of the amount of the culture in the Rennet is going to be a little bit different that I'm using raw milk. But this should be a great starting point for you if you want to try making this in your kitchen. Say hi. Right here. Say hi. Say hi, friend. Yeah. Okay, go play, okay. Our milk is heated to 88 degrees, so now we're going to add our culture. Today, for this mesophilic culture, I'm actually going to use an MA11. Half a teaspoon for this 6 gallons of raw milk. I put that half a teaspoon in a 1/4 cup of unchlorinated water. Always run it through my Boro system. Okay, guys, this is a mom brain on steroids right here. I do not need to dilute my culture. You can sprinkle it on the surface of your milk, let it rehydrate for I think 3 to 5 minutes depending on what it says on your packet, and then stir it in. Yeah, I didn't need to do that, and it felt wrong in the process, but I didn't realize why that was wrong. That isn't necessary. Still stir it in. It worked perfectly fine, but not necessary. You don't need to stir in between. You can just go ahead and add. The directions say a pinch, so I'm not actually sure how to pinch this, but I'm going to do just a tiny little sprinkle. This is what this is the bee linens that I got. I will link it to. It's also from New England. Looks good. I'm actually going to let this rehydrate on the surface for 5 minutes, and then I'll stir it through. Okay, it has definitely been 5 minutes. We're going to incorporate that culture and the bee linens all the way through our milk. Here's somebody trying to find a snack in the kitchen. I am a homeschooling mom of 6. We have one that is not currently home. He's doing a gap year program. So he has actually graduated from homeschool. But we have 5 children here all the time with me. So if you hear noises in the background, that is what it is. And this is real life. So if I can do it and be homeschooling and taking care of a very active little toddler, you can do it in your kitchen. That should be encouraging. So now we're going to put the lid on this. This temperature should be 88 degrees. We want to keep it there. We don't want to turn the heat on anymore. Now that it's at 88, we're going to put the lid on it. And we're going to let it ripen with the culture for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Come back in 1 hour and 15 minutes. It has been our hour and 15 minutes that our culture has sat ripening in our milk. Now we're going to add our calcium chloride. This is optional if you have raw milk, but I tend to use it quite often anymore. I have it, and I feel like it helps me have more cheese from the same amount of milk. So for this 6 gallons, I'm diluting 3/4 a teaspoon. Yeah, 3/4 a teaspoon in a 1/4 cup of water. And I pour that on the surface. And then we're going to stir it in. This was a very creamy milk that I used. It was whole milk, but because my cow is a Jersey, you want a drink of milk? I tend to have more fat percentage and cream line than your average whole milk. Are you wanting down, buddy? Whoa. That MA11 culture smells so buttery. Ah, there you go. You need that? Okay. So we mix that in. And now I'm going to put our rennet in. A 1/4 cup of water. That's not chlorinated. And then I'm going to use this kind of rennet. This is what I usually pick up. And for this 6 gallons of raw milk, I'm going to use 3 teaspoons, 3/4 of a teaspoon. So, and if you were using pasteurized milk, just go with the amount of calcium chloride you would have to have. It's not optional if you're using pasteurized milk, and the amount of rennet that it has in the recipe. I'm doing mine differently just because it's raw milk. Pour that on. We're going to distribute it from the top to the bottom of the pot. We have not turned this heat back on. It's still 88 degrees. Keeping it at this temperature now. We will allow this to coagulate to become a curd, a large mass of curd, for, let's see, 40 to 50 minutes, it says. I have flies. Today is our first really chilly, very chilly day. I think we have a freeze tonight, or we might have frozen last night. And it feels like all the flies are trying to find their way into my house. So I'm going to set a timer and come back and check this at about 50 minutes to see if we have a clean break. Every time I walk away from this cheese pot, I am leaving the lid on it. Timer has went off for me to check to see if my curds have clean break, and I absolutely believe they have. Let me just double check, okay? Clean finger, put my finger down through and pull straight up. If it breaks like this, like it's clean, it's not jagged and it's not mushy, then that's a clean break. So now we're gonna cut our curds. Ooh, we get to use a whisk. So I don't need my curd knife for this. We are going to whisk it. I have a really handy whisk that I just use for cheese making. And I will start at the top. I'm kind of going to go in thirds, and I will probably make this fast in the video because I'll speed it up because it is loud to have your metal on your metal. So I'll just tell you ahead of time. We're going to go the top layer, and then about the middle layer, and then the bottom. So I do about 3 different layers. I whisk it together.
By the way, I'll have the instructions and ingredient list in the description box if you would like to make this too.
We're going to let these heal for 5 minutes. These curds have healed. We are going to start our stirring. We're going to stir right now for 20 minutes without turning the heat on or anything. So I'm just going to begin. We want to be gentle at first. This is already going to be a little bit of a drier cheese just because the curds are so small. We definitely don't want to make them too small and get them to be rubbery or like, yeah, we don't want them to be rubbery cheese. So I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes, gently stirring off the heat.
Hey, Mom.
Our 20 minutes is up. So I'm going to allow these curds to settle to the bottom. And we are going to be taking some of the whey. So we definitely want those curds to settle all the way down so they're not moving around. And we're going to take some of this whey. I'm going to try an experiment because this whey has the culture, the MA11, and it has the bean linens. I'm going to reserve this, but I'm not going to put it for like a Gouda or a cheddar. I'm going to see if I can cultivate that bee linens to come back out. Probably everyone knows this answer except me, but I'm not sure if that's going to work, and I'm going to try it. So I'll get back to you and let you know if that works. So we need to get a quarter of the whey off of our pot. So I'm going to go find a bucket to put the extra whey in and a container for the whey that I'm going to save. I call this backsplash whey. There's other terms to say that, whatever. That's just what I call it. Make sure your jar is clean when you take off whey because this is a great chance for bacteria to be introduced to contaminate your cheese. I'm going to label this, keep it in the fridge, and I will continue to take off a quarter of this whey. And again, my handy little pot with a handle. This is Norpro Corona. I have a link in my description box for this all the time because I use it in this instance and when I am milking. So I use this for milking too. So you can kind of see a line from where your cheese started, where your milk was at the beginning. We will just go down about a quarter. So I'm seeing some start to float up. So I'm probably going to have to stop very soon. Be very gentle. Try not to get any of your curds. Alright, very close. We're going to add back in the same amount that we took out of hot water. The directions say about 140 degrees water, but I am just going to get it from my tap, my hottest tap that I have, which is definitely not going to be 140 degrees. Okay. I think that seems to be about right. I'm going to give it a stir and check the temperature. We are aiming for 100 degrees. We do not want to dump that whey on you, son. That would be a mess. And if it is not that, which it most likely will not be because I don't have 140 degrees water out of my tap. Yeah, it's 95. I'm going to turn this heat on for a few minutes till we get a little bit hotter. So now we're going to stir. We're going to stir for 10 minutes. You want it to get to 100 degrees and then turn it off. So if you were to heat your water to 140 and add it, it should be at a target of 100 degrees. So as soon as I get up to that 100, I'll turn this heat back off. And we're just going to be stirring for 10 minutes. Okay, after our 10 minutes of stirring, we are letting the curds settle to the bottom of our pot. And we are going to be getting our... Oh, Daniel's on my back. It's okay. Shh. Go ahead and get your cheese press ready. I do that by pouring boiling water into my mold with my cheesecloth. That's how I sanitize that. And we will let the curds settle to the bottom, and we'll pour off as much of this whey as we can, and then we will put our curds into our mold. Okay, so I have my curds in my mold. This is 6 gallons. I think this mold fits 6 to 8, so we'll see. I'm going to try to get all the wrinkles out as best I can. I saw someone, well, I'm kind of obsessed with cheese making, so I have a lot of different books on the subject. And one of them said, they were talking about the wrinkles, the creases from the cheesecloth. And she said, the author said, it can always be prevented. I was like, oh, maybe I should do better. So I'm going to put the follower on my mold. And I just kind of wrap my cheesecloth up and around. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I might need to use, I hope you cannot see, I strategically placed my camera so that you would not be able to see my very large mound of dishes, which just happened at lunch today. is my first time using this press. It's so exciting. I have arrived. Okay. Oh, all right. And then this on top, which, so I might not need this, is what I'm thinking. Okay. So this is the best thing about this cheese press. You're going to be able to watch me learn how to use it with me. Is it has the locks instead of the screw, you know, thing that you have to twist, you know. We've got this instead. So it's like a locking system. And oh, let me read what pressure we need to add. All right, it says light pressure for 15 minutes. Okay, so I would say let's go at like, that would probably be light pressure. Does it look even to you? All right, we're gonna let that, I see really good dripping of the whey. The whey is dripping, it's coming out, it's excreting, and it's not very cloudy. It's still clear, so I know we haven't pushed too hard, that we're getting some of the fat squeezed out. So this is, looks good to me. It says to come back in 15 minutes, and we'll flip it and press on medium pressure for 8 to 12 hours. Most likely I'm going to press overnight because 8 to 12 hours is 3 a.m. So we're not doing that. So yeah, maybe a little bit more, slowing down a little bit. Ooh, this is handy. Wow, that's handy. Okay, so I'm actually going to try to wash up as much of these dishes, the big pot and things, in the 15 minutes. So I'm going to race myself. I'm going to race the timer, not myself, and see if we can get this kitchen cleaned back up before we're ready to flip this cheese and close down cheese making for this day. We're going to flip this cheese. We're going to unveil it and press it again. The directions say to redress the cheese, meaning that you need to take this cloth off and put a new cloth, a cheesecloth on it. I never do that, ever. Oh, I can see it's coming together. I don't really see the difference or the point in doing a redress, but you do you, boo. More dishes or laundry is not okay with me. Okay, so we definitely have a lot more pressing to do. So flipping it. Going to drape my cheesecloth back over, and then I'm going to try to keep all the wrinkles out. Okay, put it back in. Okay. Then we are going to put the follower back on. So it looks like it's doing a good job. I definitely will need to put one of my little, these things to kind of keep pressure on it. Because this is going to go below the sides of my mold. Okay, so I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to kind of pull on all the cheesecloth sides. We'll see if I get a little bit of a better. Okay. Yeah, because apparently they are totally preventable. Then I'm going to stuff them in at the top. Now back into our press we go. I can very well hear my children. They're all the way in the schoolroom, but there is a game of Catan going on. So, it says to press now to 8 to 12 hours on medium pressure. So this, we're going to push down a little bit. Okay. Okay. I don't know. I'm going to say about 40 pounds is medium pressure. I like that. As you pushing this down, it's catching it for you. So, this is good for the recipes that call for actual poundage. you have a little measuring thing here. I'm putting, I guess, 50 pounds of pressure. That seems like a pretty substantial amount. So I see some whey dripping down, so I think we're pressing hard enough. I'll kind of take a look every now and then. Kids are literally yelling at the top of their lungs. And make sure that I still have whey coming out for the next little bit. But other than that, I will look at it tomorrow. We will take it out of the press and we will start the aging or affinage. It's a lot of noise. Sorry. This is also one of the washed rinds. So this is a really cool cheese because I've never made this obviously, and I've never had a mesophilic cheese use a whisk so that the curds were so small that I can remember. And also it's a washed rind, so that's unique with the bee linens and a washed curd also. Very interesting. I am going to be excited to try this cheese for sure. I wish I could get my hands on some Raclette to see and compare, but I don't think my Costco has Raclette. I could actually check it out and see, because that's kind of like the fanciest place I've got around here. I don't know where else I would see. I've never seen a Raclette anywhere else. I've never seen it at Costco either, actually, so I don't know. I guess you got to go to Swiss. But we're going to let this press overnight, and I made it. I cleaned the kitchen. So now it's time for me to go out and milk. So we had our cheese set in our salt brine. This actually sat for a whole 24 hours. I flipped it last night and sprinkled some more salt on the surface of the other side. So it's actually a little bit longer than what the book says. The recipe says to just do it for 12 hours, but I've never had a cheese that tasted too salty, so I don't think it'll hurt anything. So now we're gonna get it out of our salt brine and let it air dry on the counter. This is just how I'm doing it. I have a plate and a little cheese mat, and I'm gonna cover it with a clean towel. We just started burning wood, so I'm not sure if this is going to be a good place to air dry this or not. If it seems to get too warm, I want this to be about 60 degrees, which if we are not burning is perfect in this room because this is really far from our heat source. But if not, what I will do is just put it in the fridge and let it dry in there, covering it with something just to that has a little bit of airflow so that the surface can get a rind. That's what we're looking for. We need to dry off all that salt and get a rind on our surface. So after a couple days, we'll check on our cheese.
After it's air dried, you're going to want to find yourself a ripening container and put a cheese mat down. I can link the cheese mat that I get off Amazon, but just finding a container, Tupperware works good. Anything that will hold that condensation inside. The humidity needs to be about 90 to 95%. The perfect temperature would be 54 to 60 degrees. So I'm actually just going to put this in my fridge inside its ripening container. And after 3 days, you're supposed to wash it with a simple brine solution, which is just a teaspoon of salt dissolved in a half cup of water. And that's what we're going to be washing this with. I'll give you the whole directions. I missed a ton of them. I did not wash as many times as I was supposed to, but you'll see how it turned out. It's been several days for this raclette that it's been in the ripening container in our fridge. So I'm going to go ahead and do this simple salt brine. Sorry, this morning light is banging right now. Half a cup of boiling water, 1 teaspoon salt. I'm going to wash it. I really don't see a whole lot going on yet, but I'm going to go ahead and wash it, and then we'll put it back in our aging thing. This is the first wash. This is supposed to be after 3 days. It might have been after more.
I have been aging this raclette since October, I don't know, October 19th. October 19th. So, oh my gosh, it smells cheesy. It smells like the artificial cheese packets that you get with mac and cheese, the artificial kind, not homemade mac and cheese. So I think that's a good sign. So I was aging this close to Carfilly. Sorry, my brain's not working. So it's got a lot of the white mold on it, and I don't see a ton. Well, maybe I might just brush it a little bit. There is some of that yellow orangish that's supposed to be part of the bee linens. But we're gonna cut this open. This is now almost February. It's the last day of January. So this is what, almost 4 months old. We're gonna cut this raclette open. This is my second one that I've actually opened. I was really concerned about it. I made 2 of them, like 2 in a row. So I was concerned that it wasn't doing well. So I opened the other one. We ate the whole thing. Raclettes are my new favorite cheese. Raclette and then Gruyere. But yes, I was so very, very happy with that. But this cheese is beginning to crack. So it makes me think that I want to check on it and cut it open. So let's do it. Can you come here and smell this? Is it me? Am I going crazy?
I smell it from here.
You smell that one over there. Does it smell like cheesy cheese?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get whiffs of like cheese? Cheesy? Okay. So let's do it. Gonna go straight down. It's pretty easy. Push through. Yeah, it's pretty soft on the inside. Okay, it's a big reveal.
It looks very dark.
She's gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Can you guys? I know my lighting's bad. We're doing construction. I started this in October, so this is 4 months in aging. Can you see all this? Wow, I'm so happy. I should have taken a picture. Should have photohogged it. That is beautiful. Okay. Wipe off some of that mold. We're going to try it. I like raclette. So far, that's one of my favorite cheeses I've made. It's my other raclette and my Gruyere. So I don't love the taste of the mold, so I always try to wipe my knife before going so it doesn't track so much of the mold. And then I'm going to cut the end off. Oh, the paste is very creamy. This is good. In fact,
It's very soft.
so Raclette is famous for being like the world's best melting cheese.
That's good, Danielle.
It's very good. I made one on the 19th and I made one on the 15th. And I'm not sure which one this one was because my tapes, my little labels got messed up. If this is right, you were supposed to wash it every couple days and then maybe brush it. I kind of quit doing that, so I needed to open it up and see. So I'm going to actually vacuum seal half of this and let it continue aging in my fridge. You can do that, I've been told by most of you guys, with a natural rind. You can still age with vacuum sealing half of it. And we're going to enjoy this. So there is my raclette, made here on Dry Hall Homestead. I'm happy with it. So they don't have to be so intimidating, the natural rind cheeses, because the rind itself protects your cheese and helps develop the flavor. You get so much more flavor on something like this than you do in just vacuum sealing and sticking in your fridge. God bless. I'll talk to you again later. Bye.